Okay, folks, I'm going to open by saying that it's rather a severe title, and particularly in the early part of the talk, I come across a little bit evil, as he said, but I'm not really. Or at least I hope to God I'm not, anyway. But that being said, my wife recently was, quite under the weather, and being a woman, it was just a standard cold, not man flu. But she had the usual symptoms: cough, sore throat, runny nose, and she was sitting in the sitting room with tissues in hand and puppy dog eyes, looking for sympathy. And it was then I realized, not for the first time, I don't have a sympathetic bone in my body. All I wanted to do was put headphones on and wait it out. Now, what stopped me, other than a desire to stay married, was I've been sick myself. I knew what she was going through. I empathized. So I sought to do what I could to make her feel better. But at no stage during this conversation was sympathy ever a factor. But this seeking sympathy is exactly what charities do at the moment. And they're fighting a losing battle. If you think about it, it costs £120 to acquire one new donor in England at the moment. And if you think of the ads they run, they're in black and white, violins playing, sick children, patients in hospital with tubes coming out of them. The emotional guilt trip, which, to be honest, just makes you want to put the headphones on, metaphorically, or change the channel. And even if you are somebody who responds to those kind of triggers, eventually they're going to become more like white noise, and you're going to tune them out. My wife, who's still talking to me, thank God, pointed out an ad on Facebook recently where the call to action was to text PAIN to donate. Now, the first thought that came to mind was, unless you're Club Relaying in Rocky, I don't see how that's a valid call to action. It just sends the wrong message. But what charities need to do is get into the flow. Now, as was mentioned, I run a games studio, and one of the many, many hats I wear is that of games designer. And in game design, we have the theory of flow. It's a balancing act between challenge and skill, where if you go too far either side of the line, you end up with gamers quitting out of frustration or boredom. And in charity, that flow should be a combination of trust and engagement, where the donor stays on board when that balance is right. Think of a charity. If you trust that they'll spend the money properly, but you don't understand or resonate with the cause, you're going to switch off. Similarly, if you really believe in the cause, but the person selling it to you is more Del Boy than Gandhi, you're going to say no. So this flow is also important because you want to establish a long-term relationship with the donor. You want to create that giving relationship. As an example, the Ice Bucket Challenge last year. 2014, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge raised $115 million for ALS. That was 3,500% up on the previous year. But this year, they launched the challenge over a month ago, and it hasn't made a splash, if you'll pardon the pun. So this relationship is always important. What charities need to do is engage people and interact with them better. What if instead of the guilt trip, you're playing a game, building a village in Africa? You're enjoying it in terms of it the same as Simpsons and Farmville, goal-oriented with a bit of humor. But, and as well, it's been pointed out, maybe not everyone is gamers. If you can imagine if Monopoly had a baby with the game of life, and it was a smartphone baby, this is kind of what you're looking at. But in your village, you want to level up. You want to expand your borders. You decide you want to build a well. It allows you to unlock level 20 faster. But to build a well, you need to buy it in-game with €10 of premium currency. You buy the currency in-game, and a large portion of that goes to fund the Developing World project. And all over the world, other people are playing the game and buying the well as well. At all times enjoying the game, this is just an added benefit. So if we're in the game and we go to look at the current project being funded, it's a well in Africa. You can get down to the village in Tanzania where it's being built. We can understand and we can relate because we've just built a well of our own. We understand the impact that it'll have for the village. So fast forward, you're in the evening time, you're harvesting your crops, you get a note to say the project's been fully funded. You built the well, you funded the well to be built in Tanzania. At this stage, it can move into your completed projects, and you can at all times track its progress. So you can keep tabs on it to make sure that the money you put in has actually gone to good use. It balances out that trust element of the flow. So just imagine 4 months later, still playing the game, you get a note that the well has been built. It's been completed. You get a video of the commissioning ceremony of it being actually commissioned in Africa. You decide, you know what, I'm going to share it to Facebook. So your mate Mike might well have just completed another 50-kilometer cycle. Well done, him. There could be another funny cat video there. But you built a well in Tanzania. And all of a sudden, Mike's online going, how'd you do that, mate? That's awesome. All I got was saddle sore. You built that well in Tanzania. There were no guilt trips. There were no regrets. You had fun. You leveled up. You understand what the charity is trying to do because you've done the same in the game. That relationship has been built. The flow goes on, and you'll donate again. So what I would say is just look at charities differently. Encourage them to change their messaging. Giving can be and should be a buzz. It should engage with people and let them understand what it is that they're trying to accomplish. With that, we all become more engaged. We empathize. The flow goes on, and we'll donate again. Thanks.